Hello and welcome to the
Women's
Women's Cave.
Cave and the Writers Class, because I'm putting this up twice.
Yes, because it's gonna be so nice. We're gonna put it up twice.
Exactly. We have the equivalent to literary rock stars, which is known as the literary agent. Everyone
That's what we call them. We call literary agents literary rock stars. Because they're like, how do you get to be it? How do I get next to them? What's going on? Is there a green room? All these good questions and more will be answered. Probably not on our show, but
stay tuned, because if we do answer them, you'll miss it if you don't stay tuned.
Right, absolutely. And I'm Jade.
And I'm Winona. Good job.
High five social distance style, because COVID's out here, y'all. Don't touch people's hands.
You also can't really remember to introduce
ourselves. I'm just so good at this. Right, so we write literary life guides with pop poetry, which some people like to call poetry anthologies, which I have to claim now because we did
agree with it.
Yeah, because we actually had a #1 new release on Amazon, and it is The Women's Cave and Other Pop Poems, a Misfit Guide. And then here are some other of the 20 books that we have. And I thought Divorce Was Bad with Other Life Lessons. And I thought Being Grown Up Was Easy. And If Only I Were Me, a
memoir in verse.
Wow, I don't know what's going on. It's probably my lack of lunch.
Yes.
And
we also have the And I Thought Literary magazine and the upcoming 25 Hottest Authors magazine.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find out everything your ladies are doing. And I do mean everything, even like the boring bits, on www.andwethought.com. But y'all aren't here to hear about us.
Oh, no, not today. You're here to hear about our wonderful guest.
The literary rock star.
Yeah. Wonderful guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Leslie Tuttle. I'm a literary agent at Distal, Godrich, and Barrett, and I've been at the agency for 3 years, but I came to the agency from having spent 20 years in publishing on the romance side, working at Harlequin Books, where I was a senior editor, and I acquire currently at the agency across a vast spectrum from romance, which I'm very happy to see is starting to really make a bit of a resurgence in this difficult time, all the way across the spectrum to Southern Gothics, to women's fiction, commercial women's fiction, beach reads, mysteries, thrillers.
Okay.
A wide gamut. And I love books that feature sort of empowered women, very open to a variety of stories, hidden figures, stories and experiences that haven't been shared before. And as we were discussing right before the show, I'm from the South as well. So I'm always drawn to stories that take place in the South.
That is fabulous. So I do have a question. What is the difference between romance, women's fiction, and a beach read? Because people in their mind, they put them together, and you specifically said they were separate.
Yes. Okay. So I would say romance is a story that's focused solely on the hero and heroine and their journey toward finding love. And I say hero and heroine, but it's basically two protagonists, male, female, a variety of characters, but it's the journey and their growth to finding love. Ideally, in a romance, it's also going to involve some deep-rooted issues related to a fear of trust or a fear of losing someone. So there's going to be some emotional growth. So the focus in a romance is on the relationship. In women's fiction, that's an umbrella term of which a beach read would be a subgenre. So women's fiction would encompass everything from mysteries, thrillers, to historical fiction, which is so popular now, to commercial and upmarket fiction. So it encompasses a vast array. And then within it, beach reads are what we tend to think of. Ellen Hildebrand comes to mind, of course, for that, because she capitalized and sort of created, or at least is a figure very well known in that area. But when I think of beach read, I'm just thinking of that wonderful escape, but it may encompass a group of women and their relationships with each other, or sometimes you think of the college roommates coming back for the reunion weekend at the beach getaway. Just those stories focus sort of on the relationships between the character, maybe a estranged mother and daughter finding their way back to each other. Those would be aspects that I might consider.
Wow. Thank you so much for explaining that. Maybe it was just me that wants to know, but hopefully my audience wants to know too, right?
I do have a more in the weeds type of question. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. I want to know, how much of the decision that a literary agent makes to accept or not accept a book is based on business compared to excellent writing, even if the market is flooded with
That's a very good question. And I think it depends sort of on their passion for the project. So obviously, as agents, we're meeting constantly with editors and following trends in the market. So we're aware of that. But sometimes there's just a manuscript you pick up and you just absolutely love it and love the voice and connect with the author and their message. And then you find a way to make it sell. And you try your very best to make others love it and find, ways that, the hooks that you can play up that will make it more engaging and speak to the market. And just if you've got that passion, it's going to show through when you speak to other editors about the project, and they're going to know your taste. And often, they will take a gamble on a project. Conversely, sometimes a project will be rejected by an agent for no, and same with an editor, for no other reason that they just didn't connect with it. And for representing the book, they're not going to be the best advocate for it. And it's not going to do the author any favors. And it's just not going to get the buzz and the attention and excitement it needs to really bring it out.
Very interesting. And wow,
I have been wanting to know that question for a while. The answer to that question. So thank you so much. And you did it so beautifully. It was like point, and point. Jade, you have another question.
So how important is it as authors and as people, as we're pitching literary agents, to have a platform already made for ourselves? Is it
That's a very good question. And I think it really boils down to, for fiction, it's not as key. If you're trying for nonfiction, then yes, a platform is going to be important, and how many followers you have and that's the interesting thing between fiction and nonfiction, because fiction is so much more subjective. And whereas nonfiction, because it can be based on analytics, like the size of your platform suggesting the size of your readership, makes it a little more scientific and less subjective in the decision whether or not to acquire a project. But for fiction, if you've got an amazing voice, amazing story, something the editor or agent just really connects with, honestly, the platform doesn't matter. It can come, with a promotion, but it's a different story probably for nonfiction.
Thank you so much. I mean, these are questions that we get asked all the time, and we don't know. We're not literary agents. We have no idea.
You ask a literary agent?
Well, we can try. We can try. I think in another question, well, Nona, I know you have
thank
one.
you. We're really being nice to each other today. It feels so weird.
Good, right? It's because we had before lunch.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So another question that I would love to know, because everyone wants to know this question. So
you have to ask as like get good podcast.
We have to ask, what do you look for in a query letter to accept it?
That's a very good question. And I tend to err on the side of asking for more projects than not. So first and foremost, I'm looking for that sense that the person's got my name right. You'd be surprised. That they are professional in their presentation. Again, you would be surprised that when they suggest what their book is like, they're not comparing it to something so grandiose or outdated. And often if they will tell me it's the best thing I have ever read and it's a new, Ellen Hildebrand or Nora Roberts, I might be, that's, I'm looking for someone who's got more of awareness of the current market, that they ideally can tell me succinctly in their pitch, like a paragraph plot summary, and a summary that conveys a sense of the voice they're going to bring to the project, that it's not just and then this happened and that happened, but it was able to say this is a sweeping story that addresses the power of empathy among a group of female roommates, or something like that, that speaks to larger themes, or we'll say fans of X and X, or so it really gives me a strong sense. And then when I'm looking at the author's background, I'm looking to make sure that maybe for example, I've represented a story that represents deals with marine biology, and it's nice to know that the author studied in that area, or if something is dealing with especially traumatic issues, maybe the author has a background in that issue. So even if they don't, have, and then of course, if they've had some experience in some publications, that's always great to see. But I'm looking for a bio that does what it if this makes sense, it does what it needs to show me that that author is a qualified one to write on this particular subject and has a passion and understanding of the subject they've chosen, that they're not just saying I'm writing about this because I know this trend is selling, or they're saying I'm writing a romance because I know romances are popular now, but I never read them. I'm not going to request that one because they don't have a love and an appreciation of the genre. And then I'm taking a look at the pages they've sent because, if there's too much backstory and they're beginning, and, very often we say there's too much setup with, sometimes we've seen too many stories of the heroine driving into town and she just happens to have the secret baby in the back seat and just happens to come to the diner where the ex person who left her pregnant and doesn't know about the baby happens to be. We've all seen that premise a fair amount of times. Or the one they're all gathered at the funeral. Those are all ones that feel a little bit familiar. Or perhaps you begin a project with just telling this is what brought her to this point or him to this point. It's dragging. So we're really looking for something that plunges you right in and shows your power to create a very evocative and compelling setting, and something that shows you just have a strong and original voice, that I would know it was you speaking on the page.
Wow, those are really
more in depth.
That was in depth, and I appreciate it. All right, so I have to ask, because we love to ask, because a lot of authors, right? We send off our queries, and we're just like, they're ignoring us. Well, I'm not like that, but some people are like, they're ignoring us.
I think one of my favorite authors, he was like, I sent my query out and I got a response at 3 a.m. He's like, I always feel that the literary agent was just taking shots and like, oh wait, I got to do my job. No, next shot.
And we know that's not true. So yes. I want to ask about, what is a day in the life like as an agent? Because you have to serve, not only do you have to get more clients, but you have to serve your other clients.
Exactly. And it's constant juggling act to obviously give your clients the attention they deserve. And that's probably first and foremost your responsibility, because obviously you want to be negotiating the best agreements for them. You want to be giving them feedback on their current projects. If there's an issue that's arisen, you want to make that your priority to help them address it. So you're first and foremost focused on that, but obviously it's a business where you're constantly trying to bring on new clients, because if you've sold one author and he or she is happily writing for their publisher, you have that capacity to bring in new talent. And of course, you're constantly wanting to have great new talent to show people. So I would say, in terms of queries, when we approach them, I approach everyone with the idea that I really want to find that great new voice, but I also have to be efficient with my time. So if I've seen enough of the query to know that I'm just not connecting with the story, maybe it's a wonderful project, but it's not going to be one that I'm going to be as effective at representing, then I might pass on it. Sometimes there are reasons for passing on a project, sadly, are glaringly obvious. And sometimes it's just that matter of taste. Sometimes I will save the projects that I know look promising and sort of keep them in my inbox to when I know I'm going to be a little less busy and have more time to really delve into my reading and enjoy the projects I have. And when those days come up, I enjoy reading until I know the project won't work. So I can get to page 100 and realize there's a lot of reasons why this isn't going to work. I could spend the whole morning reading the entire project and then just sort of thinking on it for a bit, or get 100 pages in and just know I love this project. I'm going to start reaching out to that author. So
it depends.
Yeah, that's a nice thing about being an agent. No day is necessarily the same, although obviously there's a pattern to the day of things you're doing. And of course, you're constantly also meeting with editors during that time, because you want to stay abreast of the market. And also, if you've got a project you're excited about, to be able to pitch it to them.
If you have, that should have been our last
question.
That
is the last question, Wilnona.
So,
because we're coming up on the time.
No, it is the time.
It is the time. So we have to ask sorry, that wasn't last. Where can people find out more about your agency, and maybe if you want to share more about you?
They can go to our website for Distal, Godrich, and Beret and look it up. And we have profiles of each of the agents on it. And I will also list on that, obviously, what I'm looking for. In addition, you've heard of the site, maybe MSWL, for the manuscript wish list, where people can mention what they're especially looking for. I will often, as other agents do, tweet about what I'm especially looking for. For example, witches has been a trend that's starting to come back, and I would love to see some books featuring witches, but not so much in the paranormal bent, but maybe more in a vent of a group of friends who all share this power and the sense of community and the empowerment that comes from being it, witches and having this special gift. Maybe it ties into sort of an atmospheric element. So that's something I'm looking for. I personally always love historical romances, historical fiction. I love women's fiction about women, all diversity, representing sort of challenges and hope and obstacles they've overcome that are aspirational and admirable, but with unique backgrounds. I have a project coming out in February by Elizabeth Everett called that deals with a secret society of female scientists who get involved trying to find an antidote to a bomb. And what's interesting is they've sort of used a masquerade as a ladies' club to camouflage their secret society, where the women are being given the opportunity to pursue their own special scientific knowledge. And then I've got a wonderful book coming up in February, Lost in Paris. It features an estranged mother and daughter. In Paris, they've inherited a secret apartment. So I'm drawn, as you can tell, to the different settings, the different stories about relationships, women doing different things.
I am
I've got
very excited for these projects because now I have stuff to put on my list for February. I am excited. I'm excited. February is going to be a good month for books.
Oh, and I've got Debbie Herbert, who's another one of my authors, doing a wonderful Southern Gothic that's coming out from Thomas and Mercer, and it's of course got the very sort of bayou type Southern setting, sort of dripping with cold cases and people who aren't what they seem, and all kinds of towns not doing. I've been watching Virgin River, and it's got that same atmosphere of towns, with such cloudy paths.
I am very excited for all of these projects that you have coming out. I can't wait to read them. Thank you so much for taking time out and coming on the show. We really, really appreciate it.
Especially understanding what a literary agent
It
does
does.
in a day.
Right. So thank you for carving it out for us. We really appreciate it. And I'm just going to go ahead and wrap us up. You can find out everything your ladies are doing on www.andwethought.com. While you're there, go to the homepage. And Winona,
you can go and click on the Ladies Tale podcast and hear professional actors read my script.
All right. And more importantly than all of that, if you go to the ladies tab, go to the middle and see down to the middle and see the charities that we probably support, maybe you can support them too. Even if it's only just adding them on social media or sending them a nice email, just tell them thank you for doing this wonderful work in the world. We appreciate that in advance. And just remember, y'all, that wisdom is all around you if
you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love, you guys. Well, Nona.
And Jade. Bye-bye. Oh yeah, thanks